Yes guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. There's Bugsy Malone in the background doing what she loves to do. I hope you are keeping yourselves healthy and happy, doing what you love to do with the people that you love doing them with. We've got a Tuesday evening breaking news story from 442. It's just come out, I think, and it's a really interesting one where I need your input. I need to hear how you feel about this, and I'm going to break it down because the story is out there that a really big name player, and a big game player, I would say, someone who stands up when in big moments, he's put in big performances in his career, is available on a free transfer, I think, from what I've seen in the summer. But he comes with a lot of baggage. But it's not his baggage that is my hesitation and my reservation. And I want to know your thoughts. Before we get into it, hit the like button on the video if you enjoy this stuff. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. I really appreciate your like game. Your like game is so important, and every time I ask you, you smash it out of the park, guys. So can I ask you again, is that okay? Do it for me. Drum the thumb, people. Let's get into it. It's Adrien Rabiot, Juventus and French international Adrien Rabiot. A player I've spoken about here and there in the past on this channel. I'm a very big fan of the player, or at least I am in a certain environment, a certain system. As I say, he's a big game player, but I'm not convinced that this guy is the right fit for Tottenham's model, even though, having said that, he is a tenacious tackler. He is a big, strong, strapping guy with a good passing range, or at least he used to. But I'm not sure, I'm not convinced about his performances this season in terms of the statistics. I haven't seen them, but I'm going to put them up, so it's going to look like I have, but I really haven't yet. I've just seen the story. That's why I'm come out right now with Bugsy. But I'll put them up. And I hope that they're going to tell the same tale that I think they will. And that is that I don't think he is quite at it this year with his passing. I don't think he's quite at it this year with his, with the kind of ingredients of what he used to be amazing at. Either way, he's apparently available on a free transfer. And Manchester United are looking at him, Tottenham are looking at him. 150 grand a week is apparently his wages. So if they were to be replicated, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but would put him on a top earning thing. And as I say, apparently the rumours are there that Tottenham are interested. For me, here's the conundrum. It's not because of the baggage, and there is some. And most of you will know, if you've heard of the player, know the player, you'll know that the baggage comes in the shape of his mum, who is, I'm not sure if she is his agent or just like a busybody, but whenever he has problems in the past, it's his mother that kind of gets on the phone and says, like, why isn't he playing? Or just causes a little bit of kind of upset. He's a very, very well-rounded player, but he's also a bit of a mummy's boy and lets his mum fight his battles for him in terms of kind of just causing some mischief. And look, that is certainly a red flag, or it's a yellow flag, an orange flag, something that can be considered, acknowledged, and baked into the context of whether it's a good fit. But I'm not sure that's really the reason why I'm not particularly on board this one. And the reason I'm not on board it is because I feel like he's dropped off a little bit. And it's interesting because there was a 442 video out yesterday, and it's coming from the same publication. And the 442 video was kind of analysing Tottenham's recent performances and explaining how, in their mind, it is that Tottenham are being kind of found out a little bit. And listen, there's nothing new in it. The essential takeaways were that at the start of the season, you know, we played Weidman at the top end, explained the fact that the 8s become 10s and the fullbacks become 6s. And essentially the wide guys stay on the touchline and it spread the back line of the opposition. And if the first man can beat the press, like Bissouma or whoever can beat the first man, then essentially it opens up everything. And there's so much space between the fullbacks and the centre-backs because of the spread that it created mayhem and Tottenham could benefit. And then everything changed when the template was set up to play against us, whereby they kind of offered up the width and said, all right, we're going to go narrow. We're going to put the four people are going to be narrow. We're going to sort of stand off a little bit in the back line. The middle might come in and kind of do man-to-man marking. But essentially the wide guys are offered up the space and say, okay, take us on if you want. And we don't have good enough, strong enough dribblers and take-on merchants to kind of get the juice from the squeeze. And so the solution to Tottenham, according to 442, and I obviously agree to a degree, that if you are going to back Ange, you need to let him have the players that will do this. Then, to be honest, what you need is, first of all, take-on specialists that can beat the man the fullbacks who are standing inside, and then whip the ball in. And if we do that, we've seen it before, Brennan Johnson is very good at getting past when he does and puts it low, and then Richalison can tap the ball in. There's sort of value there and yield there to be secured. But if we were to go and bring in left and right wingers that are better at doing that, then obviously the game of cat and mouse would pivot, and the template would change, and it would go, okay, well now we can't allow the wide guys to have so much space. So they might spread out a little bit again and ask the midfield battle to go one-on-one and to see if the team can beat the press. And so it's a very delicate kind of juggling act around how you solve for both environments. How do you solve for a system where the template defensively is to compress? Well, Maddison's struggling to figure that out. The forwards we currently have are struggling to figure that out. But if we bring in the right players, then we can solve for that. And then if they then pivot and go back to a kind of broader stretch defence and go man-to-man in the midfield, then you also have to have enough players that are good enough at beating the press. But ultimately, all of it comes down, starts and finishes, with the absolute prerequisite of not giving the ball away unnecessarily, dispossessions, miscontrols, and tackles against under pressure need to be as few and far between as possible. And you need to have players that have kind of 90% passing accuracy, especially under pressure. So it doesn't matter then what system you're playing against. If you have the wide guys that are brilliant at take-ons, you have a 9 that's good enough to put the ball in the back of the net at a higher frequency than we've been doing, and you have midfielders and forwards and 6s and 8s, all that stuff, who are of incredible passing supremacy relative to their average yield, comparable, then you might have a solution for every template that you're playing against. And for me, Adrien Rabiot, put aside the mama's boy issue, put aside the fact that he's on high wages, put aside the fact that we're going to be competing, and even though he be on a free transfer, there's no such thing as a free transfer, someone's getting paid, it will just be the agents rather than the selling club, etc., right? But put all that stuff to one side, you have to sit there and say, is he good enough under pressure? Is he good enough in the press? And is his passing for that particular specific position, is that of a high enough calibre to be able to be the solution to what Tottenham need for either scenario when the template about us changes, if we can improve against the current template that has had so much success against us of late? And I would say, without looking at the stats, and again, you're only going to be seeing this video if the stats support my narrative, because otherwise I'll just won't upload it. I believe that the stats will suggest that his passing accuracy is not tip-top, and that he doesn't receive the ball, doesn't offlay the ball, doesn't have enough progressive passes into the final third that are of a completion ratio that is tip-top to make this one successful. So I'm not really against it, in spite of the fact that on his day, Adrien Rabiot is a big game player, a big name signing, and he kind of fits what you're looking for in that 6-8 hybrid versatile role. He kind of does. Like, on paper, I'm tempted to say, if we were to sign him, I think it kind of does make you sit up and go, that's the difference. That's the kind of calibre of player that can sit in the 6 and can play ball and protect and spray passes. But I don't know if I believe in him. And I don't know if the stats are going to support my narrative, but I don't think he's the guy. I just don't think he's at it enough. And when he's not, if he gets dropped or rotated or rested, you're going to get a phone call from Mummy Dear saying, play my son. And is he going to be the guy who buys in? Ange is looking for mentality monsters. Ange is looking for players. As I've said 1,000 times, he doesn't care that much about the technical excellence. He believes that the level of the very best versus the level just slightly below is not that big. But for him and his system, he's looking for players that buy in. He's looking for players that are willing to go the extra mile, not for themselves, but for the team. And is Adrien Rabiot that guy? I don't believe so. Yet, 4-4-2 is not necessarily an aggregator that you turn your nose up. If it was a Fijaces or a Calcio Mercato or the Sun or the Mirror, I'd kind of say, well, it's just, clickbait season. But 4-4-2, I don't think they're that kind of outfit, are they? I mean, I'm not sure. You tell me if you think they are. I'm just a little bit concerned as to whether this guy is the guy. Not sure he is. But listen, a good player, and if he was to go to Manchester United, I would expect him, if Tottenham and Manchester United would go to head-to-head, I think he's the sort of person that would go to Manchester United, and I think he's the sort of person that in about a year's time you would hear people that are Manchester United supporters that have platforms, like, I don't know, Terry Flewers at Football Terrace or Saeed or whatever, saying the same sort of vibes as they're talking about Casemiro. An expensive mistake. And this time around for Tottenham Hotspur, if you are going to buy into Ange and you hope that Daniel Levy is going to, for the first time in years, not succumb to this narrative that the players yield the power, because there are players at Tottenham, Ange has already alluded to it, there's players at Tottenham that maybe aren't buying in, right? And the obvious answer is always, well, you can't sack 11 players or 25 players, so you have to sack the manager. Conte was talking about it. I think Postecoglou has alluded to it, right? You need people that are going to buy in. Ange wants buy-in, and I think that you have to get this recruitment drive this summer absolutely tip-top perfect. And if there's any question marks about the willingness, the willpower, the desire, the mentality strength, the resilience of signings, then you don't do it. We can't have any more Ndombele's. We can't have any more of that sort of stuff. And for me, as much as I admire Rabiot, because I always liked him, I always did, on the ball, I've never obviously followed the stories about his disruptive influence. I've never really experienced it because I don't follow the teams he's played for, but you can't have that sort of guy at the club. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. Adrien Rabiot, is he the guy? I would say he isn't. Bugsy, believe it or not, is indifferent. When I ask her, she's not really that bothered. Guys, I'll leave it there. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, bye-bye.